You see the finder's fee agreement, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Entered into what date?
It says effective as of August 1, 2023.
I'm sorry, what exhibit number is this?
Exhibit 9.
Thank you.
Okay, effective August 1, 2023, so 1 year ago as we sit here today, correct?
Oh, close to.
Today's August 1st.
Yeah, close to. 360
Exactly 1 year ago.
3 days, right?
This was effective, dated September 8th, 2023, correct?
Dated September 8th, 2023.
All right. Who prepared this agreement? PodcastOne or Kast?
I believe Live One's counsel prepared it.
All right. And if you turn over to page 2, share price means $8 per share of PC1 common stock, correct?
Share price. G. Share price means $8 per share of PC1 common stock.
All right. Compensation fees. Compensation. Company.
You on the next page?
Yep. Page 3 of the agreement. Success fee. Company agrees to pay Kast the adjusted success fee as defined below in shares of the company's restricted common stock. I don't know how much that is. 1/10 millionth or whatever. 1/100,000th. Par value per share. And it goes on. You see that?
Yeah, I see this paragraph.
Now, halfway down through that, that talks about $1,392,000 worth of shares, the upfront shares to be issued by the company to Kast promptly after the effective date as prepayment of the adjusted success fee. Tell me what that is.
This looks to do with a settlement agreement that we made with Capchase for the balance of that line of credit that we still owed them.
Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. PodcastOne paid to Capchase $1.392 million on behalf of Kast Media, correct?
So 1.392 would be worth of shares, so that would be at an $8 stock price, I believe. But PodcastOne and Capchase have a deal, and it references it in here, but as to whether PodcastOne has made that payment to Capchase, I don't know.
The payment was made on behalf of Kast Media, correct?
We entered into a settlement agreement with Capchase for the amount that we owed them, where they would receive a certain amount from PodcastOne, as detailed here. Now, as to whether they received that or not, I don't have knowledge.
I understand. I just want the record to be clear. This is evidence of PodcastOne paying a debt that Kast Media owed, correct?
I don't think that that's an accurate phrasing.
Did, in September of 2023, Kast Media owe Capchase money on a line of credit?
Yes, prior to our settlement agreement, we owed them a certain amount of money.
How much?
I don't remember exactly.
Give me a ballpark.
Maybe 1.7 or something.
Okay. And you, Kast, settled with Capchase as evidenced by this agreement on page 3 of it, correct?
Yes, we settled with Capchase.
And so that took a significant amount of financial pressure off of Kast at that point. Would you agree with that?
The settlement contract with Capchase was absolutely in Kast's best interest.
And by extension, you personally, Collins.
I would say all shareholders of Kast. All stakeholders, really.
But not the podcast partners who were owed money.
No, all stakeholders.
How did you Kast paying off a line of credit with Capchase benefit your podcasting partners like Brian Last and Jim Cornette?
Well, they were offered a deal from PodcastOne too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that deal in just a moment. But you owed Brian Last and Jim Cornette $250,000.
And they didn't want to take PodcastOne's deal.
No, they. Let me finish my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kast owed Brian Last and Jim Cornette $250,000 as of September 2023, and nothing that Kast did vis-a-vis PodcastOne or Capchase put a single red cent in Brian Last or Jim Cornette's pocket. Correct?
I believe $250 to be the upper limit of the amount that we would owe them based on an audit of the downloads per episode.
Not my question.
Let him finish his answer.
Assuming...
Can you ask the part that you want the answer to?
Yeah. I'm going by the document you gave me. I'm going by your schedule, sir. So you can waffle it, that it may not be $250, all that you want. You've sworn documents under penalty of perjury that what you owe my clients is $250,442.79. So I'm going to believe you when you signed a bankruptcy document saying that, okay? So I understand your qualifier from earlier. And my question to you is this: assuming that the $250 and change is accurate as you've told the bankruptcy court that it is, nothing that you did with Capchase or PodcastOne benefited my client in any way for the amount that you've told the bankruptcy court you owed them, correct?
No, not correct.
How did it benefit? How did your deal with Capchase and PodcastOne benefit my clients?
Kast made a deal with PodcastOne, and you're referencing this part that includes Capchase, who had a significant, that Kast owed a significant amount of money to, and therefore relieving that debt put Kast and all of its stakeholders, including employees, partners, investors, creditors, in a better position to collect on what was owed to them.
In such a great position that 8 months later you were in bankruptcy court seeking protection. Is that your testimony here today, Mr. Thompson? Is that this deal was so good for Kast, its podcast partners, and everybody else that 8 months later you ran to bankruptcy court for protection? Is that your testimony, sir?
Objection, argumentative.
Is that your testimony?
What's your question?
Yeah, my question is, your testimony was that this September 2023 deal was a great deal for Kast, for you, for your podcasting partners, for everybody. Let me finish my question. It was such a great deal. So this was such a great deal with Capchase and PodcastOne that 8 months later you filed bankruptcy, right?
Are you ready for me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. My testimony is that this deal with PodcastOne and Capchase benefited Kast and all of Kast stakeholders.
Did you pay any podcast partners after this deal with Capchase and PodcastOne? Monies that were owed to them?
I don't recall, but if we did, it was only as a final release payment with them.